I never wanted this job, but when you're 24 years old, with student debt crushing you, and no real skills except knowing how to follow orders, the Border Patrol starts looking like a lifeline. Good pay, benefits, a chance to serve your country. They don't tell you about the rules until after you've signed the contract. I reported for my first shift at the Esperanza station in southern Arizona on a Tuesday in late July. The temperature hit 112 degrees by noon, the kind of heat that makes the air shimmer and turns the desert into a furnace that kills anything stupid enough to be out there. Without water, the station was a low concrete building surrounded by chain link fence and security cameras. Inside, it smelled like stale coffee and sweat. My supervisor, Agent Marcus Chen, was waiting for me in his office. He was maybe 40, with tired eyes and the kind of deep tan you get from spending years in the desert sun. Welcome to Esperanza Station. He didn't shake my hand, just pushed a folder across his desk. Before you start patrol, you need to read this, memorize it, and most importantly, follow it. I opened the folder. Inside was a single laminated card with typed instructions. Instructions for new Border Patrol agents. Esperanza Station, Sector 9, Rule 1. All patrols in Sector 9 must be completed before sunset. No exceptions. Rule 2. If you encounter footprints that lead in circles, do not follow them. Mark the location and report immediately. Rule 3. Ignore the children in the desert. Rule 4. If you hear singing in Spanish coming from empty desert, turn around and return to the station immediately. Rule 5. The old mission ruins at kilometer marker 32 are off limits. Do not approach under any circumstances. Rule 6. If your radio produces static at exactly midnight, turn it off and do not turn it back on until sunrise. And then the last rule, the one that made my stomach turn, even though I didn't understand it yet. Rule 7. If a child asks you for water, do not look at their eyes. Give them the water. Walk away. Do not look back. I looked up at Agent Chen. Sir, what is this? What does Rule 3 mean? Ignore the children. His expression was grave. Exactly what it says. You'll see. Children out there, walking alone, sometimes in groups. Sometimes they'll call to you in English or Spanish. You ignore them. You drive past. You pretend they don't exist. But if they're children lost in the desert, they're not children. Not anymore. He stood up and walked to the window overlooking the desert. His voice was quiet when he spoke again. Sector 9 has the highest mortality rate on the southern border. People die out there every week. Dehydration, heat stroke, exposure. But children die the most. Kids separated from their families. Kids trying to cross alone. Kids who trusted the wrong people. I swallowed hard. How many? In the last 20 years, we've recovered the remains of 63 children in Sector 9 alone. He turned to look at me, but we've seen hundreds more, walking, calling, asking for help. And every agent who stops to help them disappears. That's not possible. Tell that to Agent Rodriguez. He saw a little girl, maybe 6 years old, walking alone near the old mission ruins. He broke protocol, stopped to help her. We found his vehicle 3 days later, empty, keys still in the ignition, radio still on. No sign of Rodriguez. What happened to him? We don't know, but 6 months later, another agent reported seeing Rodriguez out there, walking through the desert at midnight, naked, covered in dirt, and when the agent called out to him, Rodriguez turned round. He smiled. And the agent said, it wasn't Rodriguez anymore. It was something else, wearing his face. I started my first patrol that afternoon. Sector 9 covered roughly 80 square miles of Sonoran desert. Saguaro, cactus, creosote bush. Rocky terrain cut by dry arroyos. Beautiful, in a harsh, unforgiving way. I drove slowly, scanning the desert for any sign of illegal crossings, footprints, discarded water, bottles, pieces of clothing. The usual evidence of human passage through this deadly landscape. At 4:30 p.m., I saw her, a little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old. She was wearing a dirty pink dress and walking alone on the side of the dirt road. No shoes, no backpack, no water. I stopped the vehicle. Every instinct I had screamed at me to help her. She was a child, lost, probably terrified, definitely dying in this heat. But I remembered Rule 3. Ignore the children in the desert. I watched her through my windshield. She walked with strange mechanical steps, not like a child exhausted from heat and dehydration, more like something pretending to be tired, playing at being human. Then she stopped walking, turned to face my vehicle, and smiled. It wasn't a child's smile. It was too wide, too knowing. Like something ancient and hungry had learned how to arrange a child's face into an expression of innocence. She raised one small hand and waved at me. I put the vehicle in gear and drove past her. My hands were shaking. My heart was hammering. Every part of me screamed that I was a monster for leaving a child alone in the desert. But when I checked my rearview mirror, she was gone. The road behind me was empty, like she had never existed at all. I reported back to the station at 7 p.m., right before sunset. Agent Chen was waiting. You saw one? I nodded, unable to speak. And you followed protocol? Yes, sir. Good. He poured 2 cups of coffee and handed me one. The first one is always the hardest. You'll see more, lots more, and it never gets easier. But you have to remember, they're not children. There's something else. Something that wears the shape of children, because that's what makes us stop. What makes us break the rules. What are they? Honestly, we don't know. Some of the old-timers think they're the ghosts of the children who died out there. Spirits trapped in the desert, angry and hungry. Others think they're something older. Something that lived in this desert, long before humans came. Something that learned to mimic what we love most, to lure us to our deaths. Has anyone ever? I struggled to find the words. Has anyone ever studied them? Tried to understand what they are? Agent Chen's face went dark. The university in Tucson sent a team out here 6 years ago. Anthropologists, paranormal researchers. They wanted to document the phenomenon. We warned them, told them about the rules. They didn't listen. What happened? We found their camp 3 days later. Tents torn apart, equipment destroyed, and in the center of their camp, they'd drawn a circle in the dirt. Inside the circle were 7 sets of children's footprints, all facing outward, all leading into the desert in different directions, and the researchers, we never found them, but sometimes at night, agents report seeing them walking through the desert. Following the children, always following, never catching up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing that little girl in the pink dress, that too wide smile, that knowing look in her eyes. At midnight, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Heavy breathing on the other end. Then a child's voice, small, frightened, speaking in Spanish. Por favor, ayúdame. Tengo miedo. Please help me. I'm lost. I'm scared. My hand tightened on the phone. Who is this? The voice switched to English. Perfect. Unaccented English. You drove past me today. I was so thirsty, so tired. Why didn't you stop? Why didn't you help me? I hung up. Threw the phone across the room. My heart was racing. My hands were shaking. The phone rang again. Same unknown number. I didn't answer, but I could hear it ringing, over and over, 15 times. 20, 30. Finally, it stopped, and in the silence that followed, I heard something else, singing, faint and far away. Like it was coming from outside my window, a child's voice singing in Spanish. A lullaby my grandmother used to sing to me when I was young. A song I hadn't heard in 20 years. A song I'd never told anyone about. I looked out my window, saw nothing but the empty parking lot and the dark desert beyond, but the singing continued, getting closer, getting louder. I grabbed my service weapon and checked every lock on my door, checked every window. Everything was secure, but the singing was inside my apartment now, coming from my bathroom, from my closet, from under my bed. At 3 a.m., it stopped. The sudden silence was worse than the singing. I didn't sleep that night, just sat in my living room with every light on and my weapon in my lap, waiting for sunrise. The next day, I went back to Agent Chen's office. I need to know more. I need to understand what's happening. He looked at me for a long time. Then he pulled out a thick file from his desk drawer. Inside were reports, dozens of them, going back decades. Agent Sarah Mitchell, 1993, stopped to help a child crying on the side of the road. Vehicle found abandoned. Agent Mitchell. Never seen again. Agent David Park, 2001. Responded to a call about children wandering near the old mission ruins. Radio went silent. Agent Park found 3 days later, walking in circles in the desert, completely unresponsive. Died in hospital 2 weeks later, without ever speaking. Agent Jennifer Reyes, 2009. Gave water to a child who asked for help. Followed protocol. Didn't look at the child's eyes, but she looked back. Saw the child following her. Saw dozens of children following her. She quit the next day and moved to Alaska. According to her sister, she still sees them, even in Alaska. Standing outside her house at night, waiting. The file went on and on. 27 agents over 30 years. All of them broke protocol in some way. All of them paid for it. Why doesn't the Border Patrol shut down Sector 9? I asked. If it's this dangerous, if agents keep disappearing, because people still cross here. Real people, real families, real children, and someone has to patrol this area. Someone has to rescue the ones who are actually alive and dying in this desert. He closed the file. The job is saving the living, not the dead. That's why we have the rules. I worked Sector 9 for 4 months, 123 days, and I saw children every single day. Sometimes just one, sometimes groups of 5, or 6, or 10, walking along the road, standing in the middle of nowhere, calling out in English and Spanish. I followed the rules. I ignored them. I drove past. I pretended they didn't exist, but they knew my name. They called to me. They sang songs from my childhood. They appeared in my dreams, and every night at midnight, my phone would ring with that unknown number. On day 123, I encountered something different. I was doing a routine patrol near the old mission ruins when I saw them. Not 1 or 2 children, dozens of them, maybe 50, all standing in a line across the road, blocking my path. All of them were wearing the same thing. Dirty clothes, no shoes, and all of them were staring at my vehicle with those 2 knowing eyes. I stopped the vehicle, put it in reverse. But when I checked my mirror, there were more behind me, surrounding me on all sides. One of them stepped forward, a boy, maybe 9 years old. He walked to my driver's side window and tapped on the glass. I didn't look at him, kept my eyes forward, hands on the wheel. Agent Ramirez, his voice was clear, even through the closed window. Why do you ignore us? We're just children. We need help. We're lost and scared and thirsty. Isn't that your job? To help people like us? I didn't respond, didn't move. We were real once. We had families. We had names. We crossed this desert, looking for a better life, and we died here, alone, afraid, forgotten. The boy's hand pressed against my window, and now we're something else. But we remember what it felt like to be human, to be children who just wanted to be safe. I closed my eyes, remembered my training, remembered the rules. You're going to die out here one day. Agent Ramirez, everyone does, eventually. The desert takes everyone, and when it takes you, you'll become like us. You'll walk these roads forever, calling out to the living, begging for help that never comes. The hand pulled away from my window. When I opened my eyes, they were all gone. The road was empty, like they had never been there at all. I drove back to the station, walked into Agent Chen's office, and I quit. I can't do this anymore. He didn't try to stop me, just nodded slowly. You lasted longer than most. What happens to Sector 9 now? Someone else will take the job. Someone always does. Someone who needs the money. Someone who thinks they can handle it. Someone who doesn't believe in ghosts and the children. They'll still be there, waiting, calling, looking for someone to break the rules. He looked out the window at the desert. They'll always be there. As long as people keep dying in that desert, there will be more of them. More children who become something else. More voices calling. In the dark, I left Esperanza Station that day, moved to Oregon, got a job as a park ranger. Something quiet, something safe, something where the only children I encounter are real children, with real families on real camping trips. But even now, 3 years later, I still wake up at midnight, and sometimes in that moment between sleep and waking, I hear them, singing in Spanish, calling my name, asking why I didn't help them. And the worst part, the part that keeps me awake every night. Last week, I got a call from Agent Chun. He sounded older, more tired than I remembered. Agent Ramirez, I thought you should know. Your replacement started 3 months ago. Young guy from Texas, eager, confident. Thought the rules were just superstition. What happened? Last week, he saw a little boy walking alone near the old mission ruins. Kid was maybe 5 years old, crying, calling for his mother. Your replacement stopped, broke protocol, tried to help. I felt my stomach drop, and we found his vehicle 2 days later, empty, radio still on, and on the ground next to the driver's door, we found something. What? 2 sets of footprints, one adult-sized, one child-sized, both walking into the desert, both stopping after 50 yards. And then just the child-sized prints continued, walking in circles, around and around, like something was learning how to walk in new shoes. Has anyone seen him? 3 different agents have reported seeing someone matching his description, walking through the desert at night, following groups of children, always about 20 feet behind them, never catching up, never stopping. Agent Chen was quiet for a moment. The children have a new friend now, and they're still looking for more. He hung up. I haven't heard from Esperanza Station since, but sometimes late at night, when I'm alone in my ranger station in the Oregon woods, my phone rings, unknown number, and when I don't answer, I hear singing outside my window, in Spanish, a lullaby my grandmother used to sing, and I know they found me. Even here, 2,000 miles from that desert, they found me. Because here's what Agent Chen never told me. Here's what they don't put in the official rules. Here's the real truth about Sector 9. Once the children know your name, once they've sung your songs and called you in the dark, you're marked. You belong to them. And it doesn't matter where you go or how far you run. The desert follows you. The children follow you. And one day, you'll hear a knock on your door. You'll open it. And there will be a child standing there, lost, scared, asking for help. And in that moment, you'll have a choice. Follow the rules and ignore them, or break protocol one last time, and finally, help them. I don't know which choice I'll make, but I know the knock is coming. I hear them getting closer every night. I hear more voices now, not just the children from Sector 9, other voices too. Children from other deserts, other borders, other places where kids died, alone and afraid. They're all calling my name now. They're all asking for help. They're all waiting for me to open that door. Last night, I heard scratching outside my ranger station. Small fingers on wood, a child's voice, barely a whisper, a gent Ramirez. We've walked so far to find you. We're so tired, so thirsty. Won't you please help us? Won't you please let us in? I sat in the dark with my service weapon and every light off, pretending I wasn't home, pretending I couldn't hear them. But the scratching continued until sunrise, and when I finally looked out my window, I saw them. Dozens of small footprints in the dirt, all leading to my door, all facing inward. They know where I am. They're not leaving. And every night, there are more of them. One day soon, I'm going to open that door. Not because I want to, but because you can only ignore them for so long. You can only pretend they don't exist for so long. You can only follow the rules for so long. And when I do open that door, when I finally break protocol one last time, I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to become one of them. Another agent who disappeared. Another voice calling in the dark. Another set of footprints leading nowhere. And then they'll need a new agent for Sector 9. Someone who needs the money. Someone who thinks they can handle it. Someone who will read the rules and think they're just stories meant to scare rookies. If that person is you, if you're reading this and thinking about taking that job, I have only one piece of advice. Remember Rule 3. Ignore the children in the desert, because they're not children anymore. There's something else, something hungry, something patient, something that will wait forever for you to break the rules. And when you do, they'll be waiting, with their two wide smiles and their knowing eyes, and their small hands reaching out for help that you cannot give. I hear them at my door again. It's midnight. They're singing that same lullaby, the one my grandmother sang, the one I thought I'd forgotten. And this time, I think I'm going to answer, Tenta Novamente.